Friday, February 16th, 12:15 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. Guys, we're still in the middle of our earthquake watch. Started February the 9th, goes through midnight of February the 20th, 2018. Conditions based off of observations that I've made that when certain things start to trend, the possibility of large earthquakes or earthquakes in diverse places are greater than they normally would be on just a random day. And we're still in that earthquake watch, and there's some things that I want to report on that I feel are associated with the observations that I've made based off of a lot of things, one being planetary position with respect to the other planets of the solar system that we share. We're all connected to the sun. We orbit the sun in a counterclockwise motion. We all have a common bond, and that is the sun. Right now, the planets are in a very unique position. They will be in this position until March the 7th. And then come this summer, will be an even more unique position. And we'll get to that later. We've already talked about it once, but let's get to the business at hand today. There's an intense earthquake swarm near Iceland. I want to thank Elliot, and actually many others have shared this story with me. I've been watching it. In fact, here's a screenshot that Elliot sent with me. It makes you wonder how they can even decipher. There are so many earthquakes in that area right now, over 1,000, and in fact, more than 1,100 earthquakes. And that's over the past 7 days. There's a lot of information I need to get to, but anyway, guys, there's a big swarm just off the coast of Iceland. Some of these quakes, here, I'll just read some numbers to you to kind of give you a magnitude of how not a magnitude of earthquake strength, because there haven't been any really big ones. I think the biggest one was a 3.6, but the magnitude of the situation is quite impressive. A total of 1,165 earthquakes were detected since 8:56 Universal Time on February the 14th. 11 of them had magnitudes above 3. 162 between 2 and 3. 951 earthquakes between 1 and 2, 41 less than 1. And these earthquakes are currently underway and still happening as I do this video. Unbelievable scenario. Same situation going on in the Canary Islands. Not quite as extreme though. A new seismic swarm has started in the Canary Islands, began February the 10th. Quakes in this latest swarm are stronger than those in the previous swarm back in October of 2017. This is the first swarm in this particular area in 30 years. The National Geographic Institute registered a total of 83 quakes between 23:23 Universal Time on February the 10th through 7:32 Universal on February 15th. Magnitudes anywhere from 1.6 to 2.6. So that's in the Canary Islands, and a lot of these have a similar, at least with respect to their position on Earth, they're situated here in the Atlantic. So something seems to be influencing the Earth, predominantly here on the Atlantic side. We've got quake swarms all through here, up into Iceland, and we've got a unique incident to report on over in Italy. We have a new volcano that's starting to rise off of the coast of, or actually it's under New England. We've talked about that in a previous video. They discovered this back, I want to say in December of 2017. A volcano is rising under New England, and all of this is Atlantic side based. The event in Italy was over near the Mediterranean, but everything else is Atlantic based on this side of the Earth. So continuing on, quake swarm Iceland, quake swarm Canary Islands, quake swarm in the Azores. I've received some unique information on the quake swarm in the Azores, and again, the Azores is right here. Canary Islands right here. And these are just the ones that we know of that are being reported on. And then you've got the event up here in Iceland. So all right in through here. Thousands of quakes. More than 100 quakes were registered under the Furnace volcano on the island of São Miguel in the Azores, February 11th and the 12th. The last eruption of this volcano was in 1630. It was one of the largest explosive eruptions in the Azores and caused significant damage. And that was over 400 years ago. But you can see the data here on the swarms. But here's one thing that was sent to me by Marie, and it involves, I want to thank you, Marie, for sharing this information. This would have to be translated into English, but what she says is that there's some quakes that are being felt over here because her family's from here. There's some quakes that are being felt of 5.0 magnitude or greater that have not been reported. And again, that's in the Azores. And people are feeling these earthquakes. So kind of a big deal here in the Azores, and all of these are big deals. We're talking thousands of earthquakes. And here's one from the Los Angeles area. We talked of the possibility, no guarantees here, but the possibility of I was thinking maybe more in the 5 range, but hopefully there won't be any. But there was one on February the 11th of 3.5 magnitude south and to the east of Los Angeles in the Lakeland Village, California. No, Lakeland, it was northeast of Lakeland Village. Where was this quake? Lake Elsinore. But look at some of the reports that people have submitted that felt the quake. Bed was shaking, windows rattled for 2 or 3 seconds, followed by another 2 seconds of a very light vibration, strong sound and lots of vibration, about 2 seconds of very rough shaking. Obviously, these people were more than likely right on the epicenter of the earthquake. These are reports of people that felt the earthquake, and they're explaining in detail what they felt. 3 seconds, no damage. Felt it twice. The first time they felt it was around 9 p.m. I felt it at 12:22 p.m. Actually, they felt it multiple times. But most of these reports are after midnight. Very strong jolt. And again, this one is at Lake Elsinore. Very strong jolt. Shaking, which got stronger. Shook the bed and windows. They thought that it was a big quake initially. No damage, lasted about 3 seconds. So the general consensus is 3 seconds worth of strong, moderate to strong shaking. Some are describing a very strong jolt. Person here from Lake Elsinore, I was laying in bed when I heard this loud grumbling noise. Then my bed and sliding door in the bedroom started shaking quite a bit. Now this one here lasted, they're saying 5 to 8 seconds. After that, about 15 seconds, they felt it again. So a lot of people are reporting multiple jolts or shaking events just a few seconds apart. Felt the jolt and heard an unusual boom at the end. This is in Sun City, California. No damage. It woke me up very strong. Another person, it woke me up, heard a loud boom and a strong jolt. Canyon Lake. Similar to the nearby quake a few weeks ago, I heard a loud snap as the Earth's crust slipped and heard the approaching ground waves trembling through the canyon. We get very good acoustic warning here in Canyon Lake. Then they're describing this as violent shaking, lasted for about a short 3 seconds. So much recent concentrated shallow seismic activity near Lake Elsinore and the bigger quakes in Mexico that add stress to the northward plates makes me think there's a bigger one coming soon. That's a report from an individual that felt it, and they seem to be very well educated in the earthquake field. Lake Elsinore, shaking woke me up, big jolt. So they're all saying pretty much the same thing. 3.5, this was felt on February the 11th. Woke people up out of bed, and they thought that a large quake had occurred. Here's some more information on the Azores. Again, this needs to be translated, but it does say in this article here that there were a couple of quakes of 5.0 magnitude or greater. And this comes from a young lady that her family is from the Azores, so they still have friends in this island community that have felt the earthquakes. That's the quake in the Los Angeles area. And we talked about this earlier, and it just kind of, I don't know, the timing. This was a story that broke back in December, a little over 2 months ago, about a volcano or a rising and uprising under the New England area. And they've determined that this rising energy is, in fact, a subterranean volcano, and it's causing swelling underneath the upper northeast near New England. So very interesting. A lot of interesting things happening in the Atlantic. Here's a quake in a diverse place. There's been several. I've been posting them here at Facebook, and I want to thank you guys for your interesting stories that I'm receiving through Facebook. Just got one from a gentleman. He made an excellent observation near Brooklyn, New York shorelines. And I'm going to do a report on this here in the next day or two. He's noticing water anomalies in his area. And he's also noticing old bottles washing up ashore from the 1930s. Something that he's never noticed before. So it's kind of unusual how those are being disturbed and brought to shore now. Interesting story. So I got to look into it and get more details, but definitely worth a video on that one. But here's an earthquake here. This was today, 3:03 a.m., literally on top of the world at the 85-degree north latitude. This quake was in such a diverse place, it barely fit on the map. In fact, it didn't fit on the map that they used. 85 north latitude. Keep in mind, it stops at 90. Typically, earthquakes don't go that high. It's very unusual, let's put it that way. Can it happen? Of course. Does it happen very often? No, it does not. So anyway, guys, we're still under a earthquake watch. It's always good to have an earthquake plan, no matter what time of day or week or month it is. Have an earthquake plan and always be ready. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all you do. You're all very special people, and be safe out there.